And that's what we started going to Baja with. And I remember rolling that Jeep down a mountain when I had it out the day before my senior prom. Anyway, it was fixed, and then we started going to Baja.
When you say rolling it, you did not mean rolling it on its tires. You meant rolling it on its head.
No, actually, I had gotten out to see where the road goes, and they have a real sketchy emergency brake in those things. And it popped off while I wasn't in there. So it rolled down the hill, rolled 50 yards, or maybe 100 yards down the hill, leaped off the road that it crossed, and ended up down in the bottom of the... Anyway, but Dad got it fixed.
Not barrel rolling. It didn't barrel roll. That gotcha.
Dad got it fixed, and he beach combed down here, and because it was legal to drive on the beach in 53 and 4 and 5. But then we started going to Baja, and we went down to Punta Banda, where the blowhole is below Ensenada. Got stuck in the sand down there with the family car, and then I went in the Army. And I got out of the Army, or I came home on leave, and we took this 1940 Dodge 1-ton flatbed truck down to Los Angeles Bay. And again, this is like 1960.
And this is you and Dad and who else?
And 2 other of his friends.
All of you across the front bench seat, or
No,
somebody sitting in back in the flatbed?
2 people would stand in the back.
Stand, of course. Yeah, you got to stand up.
And hold on to the flatbed. And, we had a good amount of camp gear. 2 were driving, and then we'd switch. And the old Dodge, like I said, he didn't know anything about fixing something. If it ever got in a pull, a hard load, the spark would start jumping away from the coil, and it would just fall flat on his face. It didn't have the power to pull it on up the hill, so you'd have to back up and get another run at it. And but we got all the way to LA Bay, and then the idea was he was going to leave the truck there, and he'd fly back in there, and then he'd take the truck further, maybe down to Mulahay. And but none of that ever happened.
And did you left the truck?
We left the truck there.
And did you fly back from? How did you get back from LA Bay?
We flew back from LA Bay.
And what sort of aircraft?
There was a guy named Francisco Munoz who ran a charter up and down Baja, and he had a 6-place plane. So that would take care of the 4 of us and him.
So I can just imagine driving in Baja in those days. What was flying like? Did you ever have any adventures? I think you might have.
Yeah, later on in my career, I became one of my racing partners was a Frontier Fence owner out of Escondido, and he had an airplane. So that was ideal for this single-seat stuff that I was racing, because he could fly halfway down and be there when I'd get there and take the car over and do the second half, and which worked out pretty well. And but one time we thought, we're spending a lot of time going down here pre-running, so it might be easier to pre-run in the airplane at run along at a couple hundred feet, and we probably wouldn't be able to see any holes, bumps that we'd have to miss, but we'd be able to see turns that we had to make, like where there was a fork in the road. Anyway, so we decided to do that, and we flew down, and we wanted to go down and fly the beach south of San Ignacio. We didn't want to go all the way, because you get much further south than that, and you hit the pavement, and it's pavement all the way into La Paz. But we wanted to know whether we wanted to go on the beach or we wanted to go inland, because we were all afraid of the soft, mucky that the tidal flats became at times. Sometimes it was hard, sometimes it was soft. So we did that. We flew down south of San Ignacio, and we had enough gas to, you calculate your gas by when your one fuel tank goes empty, you got that much time to fly on the other fuel tank. So we came back to San Ignacio and landed in the dirt strip there, thinking that we could get gas there. Well, they didn't have any gas. And we had maybe 30 minutes worth of gas left. And we thought, well, what the hell are we going to do? So we'd heard, and I was the only one that really knew much about Baja, and I didn't know a hell of a lot. But we'd heard that there was an airport in Santa Rosalia that was a company airport from the mines over there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that we could go in there in an emergency and get gas.
And what do you think? Is that 100 miles across?
No, it's 50.
50, all right.
Maybe not quite 50. It's 25 miles across, a nice flat.
So you've got ample fuel for that little run.
Well, maybe.
And here comes the rest of the story.
Maybe. We figured that, we got 25 miles. If we run out of gas in that 25 miles, we can land on the straight road. After that, it starts down about a 3,000-foot mountain down to the coast. Probably, as a crow flies, in maybe 10 miles. We thought, if we run out of gas after we get over the mountain's edge, we can coast down, and if we have to, we can ditch in the ocean. Now, this is me, and there were three of us. The guy owned the plane. He was 3 or 4 years old. We were 30, the other two, and we talked Tom, plane owner, into going this flyover. Well, we got out there about 20 miles, and it was a low-wing plane, so it had a fuel pump. So the fuel pressure began to drop off, and that meant it was time to put it down on the ground. So we did. We had enough fuel in the carburetors to get it on the ground.
And this is onto the road.
On the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the paved road. Yeah, that 25 miles from San Ignacio to the mountain's edge was the only paved road in Baja, besides Ensenada and La Paz. So, but we put it down, and we're going into a little cut in the road where there's a little bank on the right and the left, and we realized that we didn't know if we could get the wings through that cut. And so Tom slammed on the binders and did drive into that cut, and the other two of us had to get out and raise the wings a little bit for us to get on through that cut to where we could push the plane off the road, which we did. And so that was another dodging of a bullet. And the first car that came along was a 72 Ford station wagon with 3 kids and a man and his wife, and they put the 3 of us grown-ups in the back behind the second seat, and we rode on into Santa Rosalia. Spent the night, got up the next morning, got an audience, this was a Sunday now, so we got an audience with the company commander.
The controller, the COO, whoever's going to let you get some gas from their very, very, very protected reserve.
Yeah. So we went up to his place at 10. We had an appointment to go there at 10 in the morning. And this guy, he said, when he finally received us, he was receiving us in Spanish, and I could speak a little Spanish, and the other two couldn't speak any. And my Spanish was mostly, how do you get here? How do you get there? I'm hungry. Do you have a beer? Things like that. Well, so I've suffered through trying to tell him about airplanes and out of gas in Spanish for about 15 minutes before he started speaking English and let me off the hook. But he did. He provided us a guy to drive us back out to the airplane, gave us 10 gallons of gas. I think we had to pay him. And 10 gallons of gas was plenty to get us up to L.A. Bay, where we could fill up. So what a, it's the luck beats good is where I get the saying.
Luck beats good is right. Holy Toledo. So it must have just been interesting. You ride into town with this family and their station wagon, these kids with wide-eyed, like, hey, Dad, is that a plane on the side of the road? Holy Toledo. Of course, in that location, they're going to pull over and see if they could help, load those guys into the back, take them into town, and then you're working on, it's a one-company town, so then you're working on who's the jefe, and how do you get in front of them and make your pitch? And you're talking, I necesito tacos, hay una grande problema. You don't really speak Spanish, but you're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And he tortured you for a while, and then he spoke English.
Yeah.
Probably perfect English.
Oh, yeah. It was just fine. And, I even telling this story, I feel so stupid. But it was,
You've got a great grin on your face for those who can't be here with me.
It was the Baja, the stuff that happens in Baja. It's just crazy. But you can do it. Anybody can do it. Most people are too afraid to try. Not everybody, but a lot. And they don't have these stories.
So you started with Baja trips with your dad and some other friends in the 50s, and you got on to building race cars of your own design without any real, I guess you'd call it folk art race car building in the 60s, late 60s. You saw the race in 69, and then I guess you were building a car by 70. And tell me about misadventures, adventures. What has Baja done to you and your soul? And obviously it brought us together, but what does Baja mean to you?
Baja is just a free place to be. You get to Baja, and if a cop stops you, you just pay him off. You don't have to go to court in 2-3 weeks, or if your wits, if you have plenty of wits and you're lucky, you can talk the cop out of it. Whatever. You just don't have unlimited power like the authorities have in the United States to just make you jump through all kinds of ruts.
You're telling me basically you have freedom.
Basically, you have freedom. You can camp anywhere. You can, you can't be stupid. You can't get drunk and disorderly.
Tell me you've been drunk and disorderly in Baja a few times, but I would
drunk,
imagine.
But not disorderly.
Well, that's good.
One time we'd go down to the Cantamar, which is about 30 miles below Tijuana, with our buggies. This is before we were racing. And we'd camp at the sand dunes there. Then we'd run our buggies on the sand dunes all weekend. Well, at night we'd be camped somewhere. We'd get a few beers in us. And then we'd probably get our buggies out and run up to the halfway house, which was 3 or 4 miles away, and then get really blitzed. One night, a friend of mine and his buddy, we're high school friends together, got so drunk, and the one buddy who didn't own the car they were driving said, "I'm just going to act like I'm passed out." So he passed out trying to get in the car. Well, Jim, the guy who owned the car, went around, and he's just as drunk. And he tried to haul his buddy, but he couldn't pick him up really. So he just decided to pull him out of the car and leave him there on the ground.
And he was just pretending to be
right. The other guy was just pretending to be passed out.
Well, that's a good friend. Just pull you out, leave you on the ground. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Good luck to you, pal.
Well, then the guy with the pickup, he drove back to where camp was, there at the sand dunes. And it was a foggy night, and he kind of lost his way and where to turn. And so he got his pistol out from under the front seat, and he started shooting it in the air. Like somebody will come and get me or something. None of us knew he had a pistol. Well, there's a local cop there.